Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chatting the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
This is a record number of appearances for Greg Cote in 5 days on our show. He has never been around our show so much. He has never been as insanely angry during our show as he was when we were bothering him on deadline during the watch party. I'm happy that Greg Cote is here today because we have not gotten his thoughts on how crushing a loss this is. I have heard him say that if they win in Kansas City, the season's a success. If they don't, it's not. So this is basically the Super Bowl. What we thought was going to be the Super Bowl for the Dolphins was going to be the Super Bowl. But instead, what he's saying is the Dolphins play in the Super Bowl in their next game.
Yes, you got to draw the line somewhere. Mm-hmm. And for me, the season is a success if they win their first playoff game since 2000. You can't call it a failure if they break that long negative streak.
Do you think they'll do it? I mean,
I haven't.
You know he's going to pick the Dolphins.
I haven't. No. I twice bitten, once shy, or whatever that expression is. I picked them to lose to Baltimore. I did pick them to beat Buffalo.
What is the expression?
I regretted it.
What is the expression?
Not that.
I think it's once bitten, twice shy.
Correct.
Great song by who sings that song? White Lion. What's the name of that?
What?
Oh, it's a great song. Anyway.
Ian Hunter? Great White?
Great White.
By the way, yesterday he was also complaining about the lack of promotion we did for the column during that watch party. Yeah. He was saying, hey, average downloads for it. Didn't really get the bump, he was saying.
I wasn't complaining. It was just a comment.
How did you feel about the column? Because we were bothering you the entire time. I've watched the one clip of him getting angry about all of the views that it has. Because I'm delighted by how happy Whittingham was during it. I am thrilled at how enraged your father was. I loved what good producing you did when your father got enraged and you just snuck in with paint the picture. Paint the scene.
Yeah, I hate that phrase, first of all. I hate
Well,
the
you were
phrase,
at the game,
paint the
so I wanted you
picture.
to paint the scene
I
for
was.
us.
I was in a that's the best press box I've ever been in. It was just beautiful. The size
They
of
renovated it for the big game?
They did, yeah. It was the size of a closet, and yet it seemed so roomy. I hate the phrase paint the picture.
There is a pressure that comes with that, right?
Yeah.
Paint the picture.
What am I, Rembrandt? On the fly, you want me to paint a picture?
Video, do me a favor, please. Just grab from our Twitter account just that clip by itself. I just want to play it again because I did really enjoy. It is super rare. I don't know how you guys feel about the chuckle fests that are just general pregame shows where the laughter doesn't seem sincere. There are some of these pregame shows have genuine love, but you don't just lose it laughing where no one can continue with the work they're doing because you have to finish laughing. That's not something that happens. I wish it happened more on television.
Been doing it for 20 years.
Understood, but I think it's a bit rare. And one of the things, we were just talking about this a second ago because I was asking for the Jimmy Kimmel clips from last night, which made me side with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you got 7 minutes. You got 7 minutes with 10 writers, and you got days to do it. It's got to be not education shaming. Like, it's got to be banger after banger. You got a team of writers. You're at the top of Disney. You're fighting with someone who's now paid like you. Not Aaron Rodgers. He's paid better than you. Pat McAfee, you're fighting in-house. That's got to be killer. Like, or does it have to be vetted by lawyers and then can't be killer?
I mean, I guess there are certain. When I was watching that, Dan, I was wondering, did this have trouble going through legal and internal review? Because I found myself getting mad as I watched it because it was on. The clip came out during the national championship game, and so it was 8 minutes of not a single laugh, and I got to imagine it got diluted somehow. He's been off for several weeks. How is that the best shot?
Well, this is one of the things that I wanted to say about that, and we don't want to play it because I didn't think it was funny, and I thought it was boring, and I don't want to eat up 8 minutes of show just playing this. But what I did find interesting about the reaction is I did see political leanings just appear there all of a sudden with this is a hysterical takedown just because it's a takedown. And I thought to myself as I was watching this, you realize that the people who don't like Kimmel to begin with or side with Aaron Rodgers or are just different politically entirely on this, they're looking at this and saying, this is not funny in any way. Kimmel's not funny. That's what they're saying as they watch this because they're skewed, but I wanted that to be funny. I was rooting for that to be funny.
Same, and it wasn't funny. The education shaming was lame. The only decent joke was that the only A's he got on his report card were both in Aaron, but that wasn't even very funny. And I can already tell you what Aaron Rodgers is going to say in response. He's going to say that Kimmel doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not a Trump supporter. They all group us together. He's going to ask how much Pfizer's paying him. He's going to make jokes about the vaccine and go all the way back to the beginning. Then he's going to claim he's part of the media elite. You can take a shot every time you hear one of those phrases that comes up online because that's all Aaron Rodgers does is he just regurgitates that same stuff.
This is part of why this argument gets so poisonous, though, and has been dishonest. If you can't look at this stuff and separate yourself in a discerning fashion from your belief system and what's just objectively funny because you're not going to be outraged, what you should be watching here is a man who hosted the Oscars multiple times. This man is great at pressurized funny. Had the shot of his lifetime here.
This is about more than that. This is he was deeply offended by this, and to make light of this situation,
he was wounded. Mike's
kind
right.
of
Yes.
undercuts what's been going on politically behind the scenes.
Understood, Mike. But deeply offended is getting in the way of all funny right now. From every angle, deeply offended is affecting all of funny.
Sometimes with comedians, when you're thinking too much, it's never going to be as funny. Chris Rock had a year plus on Will Smith. Came out and did something. It wasn't funny.
Also pressurized.
Yeah,
Sounded
pressurized.
emotional.
It's also there are several things happening behind the scenes that could offer as a diluter to the funny. I know you want uncensored funny here, but I saw that and it was clearly washed out by Suits.
And this is something that I think is fascinating when you get into corporate interests and entertainment dilution and where we're headed, where it's going to be Apple and Amazon making all of these choices, and they're going to go through a dozen executives, and they're going to go through a dozen lawyers, and are we going to make sure that we want to be this honest here? And I'm listening now, right now in my car, when Netflix is a joke is all I've got on. And you mentioned some of what it is that we're talking about when you say Chris Rock, because I listened to that special, and as I'm listening to it, just driving around, I'm like, man, he knows he's on the high wire here where everyone's watching, and he's repeating himself, and he's live, and he's choking, because this one is so personal. So he just keeps saying bitch and bitch and bitch at Will Smith, saying that everyone is saying bitch and bitch and bitch. And what I'm thinking to myself is this was so embarrassing for Chris Rock that he cannot find the place to hit the right notes on funny because it hurt him too much. And you're telling me the same thing is true here of Kimmel, which I get. Of course, if you're accused of pedophilia and that's the move, and you have kids and you're deeply offended, and now you're going straight to Iger and saying McAfee and Aaron Rodgers can't do that to me, can they? And then now everything's running through Iger's office on whatever Kimmel's monologue is, because he's got a fight with the guy at ESPN that they just paid $17 million a year and doesn't care about their constructs.
Well, we have a clip. It's just under 2 minutes, so you can make your decisions for yourself. I think we've offered enough qualifiers here as to why it might not be funny. Someone in our audience might find it funny. Here it is.
He decided to insinuate that I am a pedophile. This is how these nuts do it now. You don't like Trump, you're a pedophile. It's their go-to move. And it shows you how much they actually care about pedophilia. But here's the thing. I spent years doing sports. I've seen guys like him before. Aaron Rodgers has a very high opinion of himself. Because he had success on the football field, he believes himself to be an extraordinary being. He genuinely thinks that because God gave him the ability to throw a ball, he's smarter than everyone else. The idea that his brain is just average is unfathomable to him. We learned during COVID, somehow he knows more about science than scientists. A guy who went to community college, then got into Cal on a football scholarship and didn't graduate, someone who never spent a minute studying the human body, is an expert in the field of immunology. He just put on a magic helmet, and that G made him a genius. Aaron got 2 A's on his report card. They were both in the word Aaron, okay? And can you imagine that this hamster-brained man thinks he knows what the government is up to because he's a quarterback doing research on YouTube and listening to podcasts? I looked it up. This is actually a thing. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias in which people with limited competence in a particular domain overestimate their abilities. In other words, Aaron Rodgers is too arrogant to know how ignorant he is. They let him host Jeopardy for 2 weeks. Now he knows everything. And by the way, I'm not one of those people who thinks athletes and members of the sports media should stick to talking about sports. I think Aaron Rodgers has the right to express any opinion he wants to, but saying someone is a pedophile is not an opinion, nor is it trash talk. Sorry, Pat McAfee.
What I would say to you is right at the center of that, you will find a lot of the division and the discourse in America where it goes wrong. Because Jimmy Kimmel telling a whole lot of people who are on Aaron Rodgers' side how dumb Aaron Rodgers is typical Hollywood liberal elite condescension that has this country on the cusp of what feels like civil war.
Yeah, it's obvious that he was deeply offended. He felt slandered. Yeah, I'm surprised a lawsuit might not come out of this. But that sounded like a laugh track. There was so much laughter for stuff that wasn't even funny. I think the way to play that, if I'm Kimmel, is 2 minutes of dismissive funny, not 8 minutes of way too serious. But Disney on ESPN Crime is a good thing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're talking about it right now.
No, that's not.
Yes,
the views on all those social clips are crushing, and I am so into what Aaron Rodgers says today. Like, I'm tuning into all this. Like,
exactly.
My dad's not wrong in that everyone was listening to what Kimmel said last night, and everyone is going to be watching Pat McAfee
They
today.
share this in common. I mean, they do, Greg and Chris.
Of course, Disney will win here, but the funny in it, the actual funny, is stumbling into the victories in the streaming age, because this is why I say
they pay Aaron Rodgers $1 million. They're not stumbling into it. They're paying him with the intention of him going viral, and he does weekly.
Mike, Disney's not paying Aaron Rodgers anything. Pat McAfee is paying Aaron Rodgers. Pat McAfee.
It's all right. It's an allotted budget for Pat McAfee's show.
No, but this part's important. This part matters. The renegade spaceship of Pat McAfee is being rented by Disney and ESPN because they need it and him more than he needs them. He tore up a contract that was worth more than ours, which is an industry changer. Tore it up to go get their reach. They have these problems now, and they've never been a company that's equipped for these problems because they don't want the talent to have the power to make these problems. Because the way the ESPN spaceship works is just get us from SportsCenter to SportsCenter to SportsCenter to game without headlines for Disney that make a mess.
Get us there safely.
Please, just without politics, without anything. Mike Greenberg, please, just get us to the next show. This is what's worked for many years.
To the next Greenie show.
Well, you don't think there's a sea change because, one business day removed from calling an upper executive a rat, Pat McAfee's front and center on their college football playoff coverage. That's not something anyone's ever been able to get away with.
That's the sea change. And now it rises up to Kimmel and Iger. And now Iger has to deal with Jimmy Kimmel being so pissed off and personally offended. Hey, I'm going to send my team of writers at this, okay? For days. Yeah, let's check with the lawyers on that.
I really think what was hanging over it, and in that 2-minute clip of Jimmy Kimmel, I actually found it funnier the second pass because
it's not funny as 8 minutes. It's the 2 minutes by itself that makes it funny.
Precisely. And I think just the specter of Jimmy Kimmel himself threatening a lawsuit on social media means that Jimmy Kimmel handcuffed himself. Because if he starts joking about it, he is then giving Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee's show license to make fun of it. And when the dismount on that is, nor is it trash talk Pat McAfee, so he's not absolving Pat of blame. So when that is the point he wants to hammer home, he can't necessarily be lighthearted because he is trying to project how seriously he took that allegation.
Understood, Mike. You're leading a late-night talk show. Make me a bicycle clown. You're supposed to be funny.
Yeah, but I lose all credibility if I start making jokes about that when the gambit into all of this was me being offended.
I know.
If I start having more fun with it than Pat or Aaron Rodgers, I lose my hand.
But that's where the funny goes to die. My point is that Jimmy Kimmel...
But that's also where your argument goes to die, Dan.
What?
Because behind the scenes, this is a political power play, and he's sending emails and correspondence via agents and whatnot because he is deeply offended by this. If he just undoes everything with a joke, then the last 2 weeks have been nonsense.
But he's got several writers to allow him to navigate that however it needs to be navigated. And what ends up happening, that Disney and ESPN, you would understand why they're trying to avoid it, is Jimmy Kimmel is using the first 8 minutes of that giant platform when people are tuning in, and that is good for business. They want to hear what Jimmy has to say about this, and people don't tune into late-night television anymore as appointment stuff.
That's why the 8-minute clip came out well before his show aired, because that's how late-night primarily exists now.
And so they will be able to profit off it. They will be able to change. I don't know which part of my argument you think is going to die here. This is wonderful and fascinating as content. But when I say we arrive at it by accident, it's because when they put these ingredients together at a place that they've never allowed this kind of thing. They've avoided all precedents, and the McAfee precedents are now, he has actual power to call out a shadow president by name, embarrass him, and then come on the air the day of the national championship and say again, bleep off, I'm here to do it my way. I'm not changing for my audience. You empower him.
That's pretty rad. While wearing a cowboy hat. Very mavericky.
With several people wearing a cowboy hat. When he wore long sleeves on whatever was the next day of him having to navigate, oh, now all the suits are in my ear trying to screw up everything I'm here to do. They hired Rush Limbaugh to do a thing. Rush Limbaugh left weeks later because he was Rush Limbaugh. They've hired Pat McAfee to be a professional wrestler and rescue the idea they don't know how to make this stuff on their own. They don't know how to make the dangerous stuff on their own. They don't know how to make the most honest stuff on their own.
They don't look to, when they acquire Pat McAfee, they know the danger, but they don't look to acquire the dangerous thing. They look to acquire the digital video property that makes them an industry leader because that's how Disney does things. Let's just buy the thing that makes us a leader.
I disagree with you on they know the danger. I disagree. I don't know why. They've had practice for many years of not having anything to do with the danger. You saw how we got clipped anytime we got it close to anything that would have been more interesting.
But up until recently, has the McAfee show been that dangerous? Up until recently. Has it been that dangerous?
It's not that it's dangerous, Stugotz. Look, he is an everyman. He speaks for everybody, especially middle America, when he goes on television and tells his boss by name, bleep off, speaks for all of middle America that's frustrated. How many people do you think listening to this are happy at work? What percentage of people listening or listening to conversations anywhere are happy at work?
10%.
I think more. I think 40.
40?
40?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I think so.
In America?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of guys without real jobs weighing in on the workforce. How am I to know?
Point.
I wear shorts most of the time.
40% of America is driving to work with a smile on their face every day.
They're whistling.
I'd make the
I was dressed
argument.
as Paul Bearer the other
I
day.
miss the
don't know.
whistle.
I would make the argument.
Temp's right outside. Huh?
A little colder. I mean,
Oh, when the sleeves go on, the whistles The whistle's clicking.
Ooh.
That's not bad. That's pretty good.
This is the first time you tried it in this studio.
Wow.
Dan, you want to give it a go?
I can't whistle.
You cannot?
What?
Wow. That explains a lot.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Do you mistrust people who do not know how to whistle? Or do you learn a lot? Or does it explain a lot about a person if they don't know how to whistle? What does it explain to you?
Just pieces are starting to come together. You know what I mean?
No, I'd like you to explain it.
Well, a whistler would get it.
Real quick to like
Real whistlers know.
I got it.
real quick to just put a bow on everything. So you're hoping for you want Max funny all around, and you care not if Jimmy Kimmel just totally undoes his argument, which is a principled one, because you don't come out and threaten a lawsuit on social media and mention and invoke your family if it wasn't deeply personal. You don't mind if he undercuts his own argument just in name of funny.
No, what I would say to you is, because this is an interesting place in comedy right now, where Norm Macdonald, the late Norm Macdonald, like Chappelle is trying to channel him as he walks on this tightrope. At the very beginning of his latest special, as he's making another he's starting again with trans and then goes to disabled and handicapped, first 10 minutes, and he's channeling Norm as he does it, because he was a deep, deep respecter of Norm. What I want people to notice, the only part I want them to notice about all of this, because Norm Macdonald said, what we have today is a bunch of comedians who want to be smart instead of funny. He was talking about Bill Maher and John Oliver and Colbert and Jon Stewart. Like, do you want to be funny or do you want to be the smartest guy? Chappelle, too, as a philosopher, a sermonizer. Do you want to be funny or do you want to be the smartest guy? Because everyone seems to be going towards smartest guy, smartest guy. I kind of like funny. Kimmel is the original host of The Man Show, is where he started. The Man Show. And then a whole lot of shit about comedy and America changed. And the guys who were winning in late night were the guys who left behind Jimmy Fallon because he couldn't do politics. Colbert could do politics. Jimmy Kimmel could do politics. Fallon, host of The Tonight Show, the jewel of all of television, desecrated everything Johnny Carson did because he couldn't keep up on the funny. And he couldn't keep up on the politics.
You're really disappointed in Jimmy Kimmel and his writers. It's misguided anger. I mean,
Presently, he's taking out Jimmy Fallon right now.
Well, and Fallon, too. But, I mean, Aaron said something totally irresponsible. I mean, he did.
Stugotz, I obviously side going into that monologue. I obviously side with Jimmy Kimmel. Obviously.
Because you're a lib.
Because I'm trying to be the super wokest for clicks. Look at me. Desperately trying to go viral one day in a costume.
The issue with comedy at this point when it comes to serious topics, like you say Chappelle, I mean, Chappelle's doing it awfully. He's doing a terrible job. He's not channeling Norm Macdonald. He's just taking down people for no reason, punching down. Jimmy Kimmel's put in a position here where, like Mike said, this is a very serious topic, and a lot of the time, that is where funny dies. Like, there's not often a way to be funny, and we saw it with Saturday Night Live when they trivialized what was going on with Donald Trump, and then at the last moment tried to go, oh, shit, we messed this up because we made too many jokes undercutting the serious nature of it. They tried to go back, and, you know, when you talk about ESPN not being equipped or wanting to handle what's going on with the politics side of it and the way they've done it in the past, this is a different end of the political spectrum, Dan. More sports fans are okay with what's being said by Rodgers, by McAfee, than the average sports fan watching you.
Jeremy, I've put this in front of the audience, in front of everybody. They told me at the end what the focus group showed. They showed SEC football. Like, get all this other shit out of here. Get all of it out of here. SEC football. Skipper runs the company now. I could have asked for some of the things that McAfee has. I failed to do so. I was an idiot. I didn't bother him. I just wanted to be left alone. And now they've got a situation on their hands that's delightfully, artfully comedic. Everybody involved. Was I too indignant there, Mike?
Yes.
Was it off-putting?
Yes.
Yep.
You really Kimmeled it.
I find so fascinating, like just so fascinating, what is happening in media, in sports media, because, God, I smiled yesterday because I saw a meme of Ocho Cinco in the background looking as Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith like jostled with each other, and Ocho Cinco had a longing look on his face like he too wanted to be on First Take, but Unc is with Stephen A., and they were enjoying themselves. Shannon Sharp, I believe, had an interview that now is up to like 40 million views, 3 hours with Cat Williams. The industry's changing. It's super interesting. Like, because a behemoth like ESPN needs a Shannon Sharp or a McAfee. And I've told you before that Stephen A. Smith is plotting his exit in front of your eyes. He's advertising for the stuff he's doing away from ESPN for hours a day. It's brilliant. I wish I had been smart enough to do it that way. I wish I had been less emotional, because the only time I felt jealousy in any of this, in any of the last couple of really hard years, is when I just saw, because I've been through lawyers and I've been through the bullshit of all that vetting, is when this is the fight. Stugotz, I'm not kidding you when I tell you, like, professionally, I have made the life that I've wanted that looks a lot like what I want somehow. So I do not.
With me, huh?
With you.
Yeah.
With you and Cody.
Yeah, thank you. You're
yes.
welcome.
Against all odds.
Great song.
I have done this.
I heard Abacab the other day. Thought of you
no
instantly.
way.
Yeah. Still bangs.
I miss Genesis.
Abacab is good.
We've now referenced songs from 1975 and 1984 on this
right.
local hour.
The only time I've been jealous.
I'm a Phil guy. I really am. And like better
he's
than
great.
Peter.
Yeah.
And Peter's got one of the best
Way
voices
better.
ever. I mean, In Your Eyes to this day. You put In Your Eyes, that's a great sing-along song.
Great song.
The Tarzan
But for
soundtrack? Come on.
Genesis, it was just
Banger.
it was just the right guy at the right time.
Abacab.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, they went a little poppy. They were prog rock before, but it was the right move for them.
Does anyone want to guess? Why don't we play this game? All of you guess the first time I've been jealous in 30 years. First time professionally jealous in 30 years.
Man, I've been jealous quite a bit. So.
But it just happened recently.
Yeah,
I was jealous last night.
What?
Stephen A. was in a box with Michael Jordan
That was
and Derek
my guess,
Jeter.
too.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Travis Scott, Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan in there, and Stephen A. walks into that luxury box, and he's like the man of the hour.
He was the one in the middle, like high-fiving Jeter, pointing
Jealous.
down to fans. That was my favorite part of the whole
jealous a
night.
couple of times. Was jealous of Stugotz when he got to pick on College Game Day. I rewatched that segment yesterday just because I was missing COVID.
I don't want to be rude, but you have to be the crappiest celebrity ever on there.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
No, there've been some bad ones.
Well, listen, the camera crew woke up that morning. They thought they were going to A-Rod and J-Lo's house,
Yeah.
and they ended up at mine. So,
I thought you delivered.
Thank you.
There's been some bad ones, and you are certainly one of those, but it was of a time. I mean, Corso was in his back patio. Man, lockdown was certainly
I
curious.
threw it up the turnpike. Yeah.
I guess maybe being able to call out executives I disagree with seemingly having impunity with it is certainly a little bit of envy roiled up inside me.
Mine goes higher than that. Mine goes to, in some of this stuff that we've done, where people heard me, whether they thought it was. Let me hear some more guesses. I'd like to hear some more
Okay,
guesses.
what is the category? The most jealous you've been?
This is, I don't generally do
When
jealousy
Ron
professionally.
Burgundy, dressed in full costume, Will Ferrell playing Ron Burgundy, decided to sit in on the Dan Patrick Show for a
Oh,
day.
that's a good one, but I was happy for both of them. And I thought that was super cool. And, in fact, made fun of Adam McKay, because Will Ferrell and Adam McKay created Funny or Die. And Funny or Die is a huge inspiration for me. And Dan Patrick got the funny, and I got the die, because McKay won't shut up about climate change, and he's going crazy.
Oh, I thought you meant your general appearance.
Has anyone checked on him this year?
I don't die anything, Mike, and I question your expertise here.
I got to be honest. I'm mildly attracted to you today. I mean, you look great.
Just mildly.
Yes.
I would guess, if I'm going to take a serious guess,
Why would he be mildly attracted to me today?
Because you have the look. I mean, that's a beautiful jacket, suit, whatever the hell you call
The
it.
pocket square, especially.
You have the pocket square is kicking my ass.
The
You
watch
have
is a little loose.
You have two buttons unbuttoned. Got some nice chest hair working.
The watch.
What would you think, Greg?
I would think, honestly, if I'm being honest, when you saw a punter in a tank top get the deal that he got, I would think that had to make you a little bit.
No.
Okay.
When McAfee gets the food delivered to him on game day, every around 11:30, they have some food come up on
Pretty
set.
good, yeah.
I'm really stunned that you guys don't know the answer.
When
to this.
Rodgers tells McAfee he loves him.
Yeah. Every Tuesday.
That one hurts a little bit.
He loves them.
No.
$1,000,000.
Yes, look, what's funny
was
is
your guy.
there is a voicemail somewhere of me calling Aaron. There is a voicemail somewhere. Hey, I don't know what the deal is with McAfee, but if you're looking for another place to be, we would love to have you.
Pathetic.
Yeah.
That
give
is
you-
so embarrassing.
We can give you 200 per week.
I'm so proud of you.
Man, that is desperate. That is
did
so
that?
sad. Oh, the secondhand embarrassment.
Now
I
I'm
just
fully
felt.
attracted.
Why would you do that?
A whistler would
That's
never.
That's a good voicemail right there.
I'm surprised it wasn't a group text with Mike. Mike, make this happen.
Oh,
I hope Aaron Rodgers still has it and can play it on the McAfee show. That would delight me.
Well, thank God you braced me in the audience in the event that happens.
But I know you guys pulled it out of me. It has nothing to do with these things.
Terrible look.
This is the God's honest truth. Because I'm not kidding you because I had this conversation with Skipper just the other day, and our stuff is too niche. I'd like to actually talk to Skipper publicly about he used to say there were only two people at the company who had his telephone number because there's a big distance between where the billions and the billions are and the daily running of a company in Bristol, Connecticut. There's a big gulf there. He said the two people who had the number were me and Simmons, and that I was the only one who didn't use it because I was never asking him for anything because all I wanted was what we had at the Clevelander. That's all I wanted to do with our professional lives.
Simmons wore that number out, huh?
I don't know.
That's it.
I was a little jealous of Shannon Sharp getting all those views with Cat Williams when all Shannon had to do was just chill there and drink alcohol. Damn, that was a good setup.
I'm giving you my grief and tears on South Beach Sessions, my maximum vulnerability. I'm selling out in every way. I got A-Rod there, and I got 14,000 views.
We didn't really pump up the gift that you gave him. I would have thought that someone would have picked up on that gift. Did we clip that?
Yeah,
let's
that
clip
was
that
funny.
gift and let's play it ourselves. It was a great gift.
The F, Jay? I don't think we should play that, but if you want clicks, hold on a second. Don't play that. Don't play it. Let's just play the clip from the watch party that I want to go back to because I asked for it earlier, and I know I've hijacked things here today. And I also know that people are good and tired of me talking about some of this stuff. But the thing that I was actually jealous of is that McAfee and Aaron Rodgers and Kimmel had taken the heights of the fight in America to Iger and Disney with that as the cause versus what I wanted and was trying to do there. But what Skipper told me the other day is it wouldn't have worked. Like even if I had asked, if I'd requested, hey, can we just do big things all the time? He was running the company.
You also didn't want to do big things.
Well, I didn't think to ask.
Like for Pat, he gave voice to this yesterday. He's thankful for the relationship with ESPN and part of why he tore up a contract that was seemingly more lucrative, or at least reported to be more lucrative, was he wanted to have the credibility of being able to broadcast live from the college football playoff final, to be where game day is, to be on the sidelines having an alternate broadcast for these games. ESPN and their rights package affords him a credibility that he couldn't do despite being an industry leader independently.
I can swear to you guys, I root for everything he's doing. He bet on himself. He retired as a punter. He's shown Shannon Sharp, hey, look how much money's over here.
7 figures in every field he tries his hand in. It's a dynamite story. But also, you didn't want those types of things either.
But
we're going to Circa for we're making a huge deal out of you covering the Super Bowl.
And it's purposely on Fremont Street because man, I don't want to explain our stuff to everybody, but I've spent 2 years explaining to people, including people who work at our company, what this tries to be. I'm surprised that all of you went to the stupid jealous things, that like the superficial things, as if I couldn't have.
I'm super jealous of when Pat said all these cool places because I'd like to do more of it. Even though it's a massive undertaking, I'm happy that we're doing a Las Vegas. By the way, reserve your tickets now. And just to the audience right now, blown away by the early. I'm going to fight through this one. No. Nope. Blown away by the early. Sorry, I got to pay that.
Why only $2?
It was. I thought I kind of kept it in a little bit. It wasn't.
I thought
just
they
like
were all
full.
$5. I thought coughing into the mic was
$5.
$5.
I called my shot, but blown away. If I may finish my point, blown away by the early RSVPs. Yeah. We internally. We had a number that we hoped for early on. We know it's difficult. We don't know what teams are playing there, and our audience came through tenfold. We surpassed our internal expectations by 10 times. And if you want to be a part of that, so much so that you're helping us expand a footprint and do more cool things over at Circa Swim with our partners over there, and we couldn't be more happy. Go to circalasvegas.com/stadium-swim/Dan-Le Batard Show for ways to get in on
so
what
bad.
we're doing.
It's a miracle anyone even found the website, honestly.
It looks
or on social media, we'll just have a link that you can click.
Do that.
Yeah,
Like,
go to
it's-
@Le Batard Show on our social channels and
hold
find
on.
the
Can
information
we
We
there.
should take deposits, by the way,
Guys,
because RSVPs, I mean,
I understand it's a mouthful.
not written in ink.
I gotta read that liner.
It's okay.
Gotta read
No,
that
but-
liner.
but-
Get it, Mike.
But Mike, let's do
that way.
All right, but let's do a better job of that by next segment, getting Greg Cote's computer and having him try to keep up with you and try to log on using exactly what it is that
Practice
you're
that
saying.
to execute it that well.
I want to see how many times he asks you, go back, slow down. I want to see if Greg Cote can get an RSVP to what it is that we're doing. And well, wait a second. We'll get the camera here to do it.
Dan, my larger point wasn't just to get a contractually obliged liner out of the way. It was also to say that you don't want the same exact things that Pat did. You had the opportunity to do some of that stuff, and we did from the comforts of our Clevelander studio. Like, we just weren't about that life.
You weren't flying around every weekend to the big college football game of the week. That's not what you do.
You would hate doing what Pat McAfee does.
Would want it.
But yet somehow I'm almost hurt, legitimately hurt, that you guys guessed on my jealousy. People who know me, things that are only through your own eyes. Like, it floors me that all of you would know that little about me to answer that question that poorly.
I was going to guess when we got Javon Holland on God Bless Football. Yeah. It's a big one, 98-yard return.
Hell of a get.
I am jealous of the Tahoe trip Stugotz is taking. Billy is weirdly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but weirdly spectacularly efficient as a producer.
Why can't you believe you're going to say that?
Well, because you're a general yammerer, and the podcast you do is a rambling Stugotz joyride.
Well, that's after the edits.
That's after 15
Correct.
hours of
Yes.
edits for
Yeah.
every God Bless
So
Football.
imagine beforehand.
No, but so this is why I say sometimes you choose inefficiencies in a way that are breathtaking to me.
How so?
I just told you.
Well, I don't understand.
All of your
Elaborate.
general yammering and a podcast that is where you're producing, you're putting all of your producing talents into God Bless Football,
Not
and
all
it
of them.
shows. It shows as an award-winning show. But you don't have even a lot of time for what we're doing here. But the reason I say an efficient, surprising producer is because I told you. I came up to you and I asked Billy, and I don't ask in confidence Billy to like soothe me or support me very often. Billy tends to move away from me when I want to talk to him intimately. I don't know why he does that. He's been doing it for years.
Become a bit of a yammerer. So that's such a,
Well,
places to be, you know what I
that's
mean?
where
Get to the point.
That's
I mean,
where it's
land the
efficient.
plane, as they say.
That's correct. That's correct. I have ruined the show with my rambling mess of an inability to speak coherently, concisely, and efficiently. But I asked you, and the last 45 minutes are proof positive to this, because before I started, I asked you, hey, Billy, how do I do any of this without coming off as bitter? And his response was, you can't.
And he was right.
Yep.
That's why I say,
tried to stop you.
I should have. Be that efficient with Stugotz. It'll make your life a lot easier.
I can't control him.
I know.
I don't want to be controlled, man.
Oh,
Neither did I. That's why I fled the place, not bitterly.
Not
So-
bitterly. Hey, come on. Dash of bitterness. Come on. I mean, we've obsessed about it. There was a cool
fired
game.
Chris Cody.
Hey, let him
Laid
go.
off. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him. It had,
It happened to a lot of people.
It was a numbers game.
Right.
Have you never been able to whistle?
Try it.
I've never tried. Yeah.
Why?
Try right
Never
now.
tried.
I tried and failed, and that tends to be my thing. When I fail, it's not learning. I've just failed, and I move on and don't learn.
Do I have
But
bad
that's-
news about starting a startup company then?
Yeah.
If you're going to quit on whistling.
Yes.
Try. Go ahead.
All right.
That was amazing.
Well done.
Two-toned whistle from one man.
You can't whistle. I mean,
You thought that was good?
Yeah, it was great.
Spectacular.
Yeah. Almost as good as the professional whistler the Greg Cote show had on the podcast last year.
That was such a terrible bit.
Oh, it was great. It was a great bit. That guy was super good. Although you made a good point that it sounded like bird calls.
Right. It was
Less
just
than whistling. More than
not our best moment.
Yeah, no, I thought it was our best moment.
A little better than the snuggler.
Unfortunately, that was our best moment.
Hey, Greg, it's a Tuesday.
That's true.
It's Tuesday and the holidays are over.
Yeah, how about that?
You think that we could maybe possibly get...
You never know. Yeah, it's on the show topics I sent in.
What?
It says, back in my days, maiden voyage
Nice.
of 2024 is ready for launch.
Well, it's Tuesday. I mean,
Right,
what's the
Tuesday.
surprise here?
Holy
Duh.
shit.
Right.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
We wanted to
Tuesday.
surprise
Tuesday,
you.
yeah.
It's Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Dan.
You are right about it being Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, really.
Every
We're going to hold you to that.
Fourth or fifth Tuesday.
Last week was a
Like
Wednesday.
clockwork.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are circumstances that throw things off, but that's not up to Greg.
Right, exactly. Thank you,
Tuesday.
Billy.
Yeah.
The Greg Cote show featuring Greg Cote
Yeah, with? Right?
Fine.
is an obsession of Greg Cody's. It is very popular. And you say that Whistler was your best moment. There's a lot of unusual stuff on there. The key to the show, I would argue, is the relationship with Chris and Greg. And Chris is mean to Greg.
Yeah, people hate me on there.
Yeah, well,
they
but
do.
you guys, because you're not gentle enough with your father, it feels disrespectful. But there are instances on this show where you don't respect him when he's bad at it. It's what makes it funny. It's the dynamic is everyone knows you guys actually love each other, and then people turn on you. Why? Because they favor the old guy, because he's likable and cracks a couple of funnies about Uncle Dick.
There you go.
Hijacks
His
the
go-to
show,
move.
and everyone loves him.
Hee-haw, three.
Giant Q rating because of that. He is Arnold.
Badea?
Badap.
What is that? That's a new one.
It's a new one. Hee-haw 3, ba-day-up. It's spelled B-A-D-A-Y-U-E. How's it spelled?
What?
Ba-day-up.
Who cares how
How's
it's
it
spelled?
spelled?
No, it's
Day-up.
important.
I'm
It's
hearing a
important.
P at the end of that. I'm hearing a P.
If we're
I
for
was
me,
shocked
it's
to learn there wasn't a
it's
P at the end.
B-A-D-E-U-P.
No, that's
for
not
me.
right.
Badea.
Yeah.
B-A-D-A-Y-U-E.
The only thing that matters is that the phonetic emphasis is on the middle syllable. Ba-day-up.
Ba-day-up.
But there is a P.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
At the end. Ba-day-up.
And a silent
Hee-haw
T.
3, ba-day-up.
All right, and I just witnessed something. I have a unique angle as someone who worked with my father. I just witnessed something.
Wait, it's a T, not a D.
I've got it as a D.
No, the T
Badea.
is
No, Badea.
silent. at the end.
Badea.
Badea.
Silent T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
Bidet. Like a
saying
bidet?
T or D?
Like receipt?
It's B-A-D.
Okay.
A-Y.
That's what I
U-P.
thought. All right.
Ba-day-up.
So
Badea.
not
Yeah.
B-I-D-E-T-Y-U-P.
No.
Like
It's, as I
bidet.
said,
And contextually, how do we use bidet?
To flourish a strike 3 call?
That's the only context that I have right now. But I need a little bit more.
let me explain some of this.
Hey,
Just some of it.
let the man speak.
Okay, he
What's a hee-haw 3?
Okay.
Don't you think somebody's going to ask what's
No,
a
it's
hee-haw
no.
3?
No, that one's
we don't
canon.
care about that.
Okay,
canon.
hee-haw is the sound a donkey makes.
Yeah.
That was my
Thank you.
That was my strike call.
What's a donkey for those who don't know?
Do the whole thing behind me. Just can we get him a microphone and have him do the whole thing, Chris? Let's recreate a father-son childhood strikeout call. When Chris Cote would strike out looking at street baseball, his father, the umpire, would embarrass him with a
Right.
I don't need this whole preamble. Just bidet. What does that mean?
Okay, badayap is the sound of a chicken's cluck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
it's a-
Bidet.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Hee-haw 3.
Didn't you steal
badayap.
this all from Uncle Dick?
Well, that's what he claims.
You got an email after you talked about this last week from
An
Uncle Dick
email?
claiming. Read the email. Read the email from Uncle Dick.
It was
Dearest brother.
It's in your photos.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough email from him. A little testy.
So
I
bidet.
would call
Rough
it.
dick.
The chicken sound only comes after a strike 3 call.
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah. It's a flourish. You know how umpires, they can't just say strike 3 anymore. They got to go.
You got to punch him out.
You know,
Badayap.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Badayap.
And
A little extra mustard.
Yeah,
Right.
The more you
that's
say it, the
a-
more you sound like a
flourish.
chicken. I like it.
But you stole it from your older brother.
Well, that's what he said.
And remind me, it's B-A-D-E-Y-U-P or
There's no Y.
there's an A.
B-A-D-A-Y.
How often is
There
your
is a
brother
Y.
doing strike 3 calls?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Uncle Dick does this for his strike 3 call, or he does
Okay.
this for other things, and you
All right.
added it to yours.
Well-
Read the email.
What time was it at?
It was at. I
Just
don't
read
know.
the email.
I have
Wait,
no
he's a
idea.
weird
matter.
sleeper.
That's why I'm asking
Uncle,
if this is
Uncle
like a
Dick
2
goes to
a.m.
bed
rant.
about 6 p.m. or
Right.
something
Wakes
ridiculous.
up at like 4 a.m.
What time did he
Yes.
send this email?
It doesn't say. It just says the date. It was
No,
1/8.
I'm sure.
It definitely
says-
says
It
it.
definitely
Yes,
says
it
the time.
does.
Nah, because he took a photograph of it. I don't know how to do that.
Just read the
took a
email.
photo.
Okay, it
Guys,
says,
what time he sent it is not.
it says
Yes,
he-
it is.
It says Hee Haw 3 Badayap is from an old Rick and Suds barnyard sound bit that I stole from them and you stole from me. Okay. Now,
Rick and Suds, one of the greatest
Legends.
radio teams ever in the history of
right.
South Florida.
I remember Rick and Suds, but I claim that Hee Haw 3 is my creation. And Uncle Dick claims that Badayap,
It sounds like it's 3 times removed, stolen by you.
well, I don't know how they used it. I don't recall, but I use it as an umpire flourish.
All these years of Hee Haw 3 and no bidet. And now the
Yeah.
bidet just shows
It
up.
just shows up. I think it's a great accoutrement.
Well-
It's almost like an exclamation point.
It definitely is, but when did you start doing the bidet up that then Uncle Dick heard about it? Because I think this is the maiden voyage on this show. So were you doing
is.
this privately?
I think on my own podcast, I think I just almost inadvertently, almost by memory, said it. Hee Haw 3, Badayap.
And
All
how
right.
did Uncle Dick spell bidet up? Because he wrote it in an email
Oh,
and
it's
you
ridiculous.
sent
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because then
Billy.
we'll know the official
Yes,
spelling.
Email him
No,
back
let's-
and find
let's-
out.
no,
It's there. Yeah,
Give
take
us
a
the
picture.
spelling.
It's written there, right?
Give
How
us
did he
the
spell
spelling.
it?
How did Uncle Dick spell
Okay,
this?
absurdly, he
Absurd.
spelled it BDEP.
Whoa.
Which
That's
Is there an
ridiculous.
apostrophe?
No idea.
No, just BD.
Yeah, BDEP, all lowercase.
Bidet.
Badayap.
That's
What-
something totally different.
This is what I would tell you, because I've got to play this clip. I have to. But Chris Cote is frustrated because he produces this as his father, and the father just asked Chris Cote when he didn't know something. The writer, been writing all his life. Hey, Chris, how do you spell that? How do you
Right.
spell? Yeah, that's right. You're just telling him something. The guy who can't read You're asking
Whoa.
him how to spell something.
Okay.
Must have gone to community college.
Okay, let's be clear. You can't look up this word in a dictionary. You can't Google it and expect to get it. It's a creation of mine, and so the official spelling is whatever the hell I want it to be. And I'm spelling it phonetically. Baday-up, B-A-D-A-Y-U-P, with the emphasis on the middle syllable.
Can you guys please give him circa the web address for everybody to RSVP?
I mean, we teased
Yeah.
it, so
yeah. Is his browser open?
Yes, browsing it.
You
All
got
right.
Netscape Navigator open over there, do you?
All right, what do you need?
right.
Netscape.
He doesn't have.
Why'd you
Who
pull the
needs
mic
me?
That's
further
right.
down?
Here, let me finish downloading this song on LimeWire. All right, what do you got?
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim slash.
Hang on, I got to get a thing
You're the
open.
worst.
You're not going to be able to do this.
let him open a fresh tab. Give him a second.
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim /Dan Le Batard show.
Got it.
Ridiculous.
Keep giving
Look
it
at
to
him
him.
pecking away with one finger.
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim /Dan
worst
Le
posture.
Batard show.
Stadium.com.
Keep going.
No. I didn't. No, CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim /Dan Le Batard show.
Never gonna get it.
There's just too many
Zero
dashes
chance.
here. It's ridiculous. All right, it says this site can't be reached.
Yeah.
Obviously, you read it.
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium
Can
swim
you read it
/Dan
in a
Le
normal
Batard
tone?
show.
How about you read it slowly?
CircaLasVegas.com/stadium swim /Dan Le Batard show.
Okay, you know what? I'm not a professional typist. I'm not a secretary in the 1960s on a sitcom who typed like 90
Gamble on by DraftKings.